Take me inside what the suspicion is that Patel and Bongino leaked. I mean, the irony of the polygraph story we started our broadcast with, and you're reporting just now, is that Bondi and Wiles seem frustrated that Bongino and Patel have gone public with their discontent.
And I think in large part it's because of the pressure that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have placed upon themselves, Nicole. We have covered the litany of promises that those two men, upon taking their FBI posts, had made to the American population, that they were going to investigate and reveal everything about Jeffrey Epstein, about the January 6th committee and its investigation. They were going to investigate and reveal who the pipe bomber was. They were going to investigate the 2020 election, and yet we're 7 months in now, and they have come up with effectively nothing on those fronts here. And that is where I am told, along with our colleague Ken Delanian and Monica Alba, that these two men were frustrated by the feeling that they have been stifled by Attorney General Pam Bondi. Now, to the extent that that is reality, and to the extent that the Attorney General is acting as a shield or actually putting some parameters around their work and their investigations and the basis into them, I think that is the question that each of us are going to have in our reporting here in the days ahead. But these two men, I'm told that Dan Bongino is considering resigning from his post. Kash Patel has not gone as far as to suggest that, but we'll be looking, I'm told, at how Dan Bongino responds to this. I'm told that both men meet with the Attorney General on a daily basis, and that they have not kept their displeasures hidden from her. I know that Pam Bondi was at the White House 1 week ago. They have continued, the White House, to stand behind her as the Attorney General. At some point in time, though, this is going to come to a head, and it may be here in real time, Nicole.
Another MAGA civil war is ripping Donald Trump's White House apart. As the Jeffrey Epstein scandal proves to be the most damaging moment of Donald Trump's entire presidency, the MAGA world is turning on Trump as Pam Bondi is going at it with Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, who are now making very shocking threats against Donald Trump that spell disaster for the rest of his term. We are going to get into it all and how Trump made it very clear which side he is on. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way and supporting the work that we're doing. Now, before we can get into how Trump has made it clear that he is turning on Patel and Bongino, I want to start with the context of this all, and that comes to us from Nicole Wallace.
Two sources familiar with the matter telling NBC News that Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, may be leaving his job after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over his frustration with how the Justice Department has handled the Jeffrey Epstein files. As we reported earlier, Bongino did not come to work today after a heated argument with Pam Bondi Wednesday. Joining us now is my colleague, NBC News White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Also joining us, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, president of the National Action Network, the Reverend Al Sharpton's here as well. Vaughn, let me read from what you and our colleague Ken Delanian are reporting. Bongino did not report to work today amid speculation about his whereabouts, the sources said. It came after a heated confrontation Wednesday at a meeting with Pam Bondi and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, during which Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel were asked about a news story suggesting they were dissatisfied with the decision not to release any additional Epstein files, the sources said. The meeting was first reported by Axios.
It is important to keep in mind what Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are really focused on, and that's cash. They were podcasters and conspiracy theorists. Kash Patel spent the last few years selling MAGA children's books. He is not a true political activist and has no real ideology. These guys are grifters. Dan Bongino left a profitable podcast for a job he now hates because he can't make money off it anymore. Now that the MAGA base is turning on them, they realize their money train is gone, especially with the Epstein scandal hurting the presidency. Their scapegoat is Pam Bondi. But what Brian Tyler Cohen said explains why Trump is turning on Kash and Dan. This clip is right here.
seen Dan Bongino and Kash Patel focus so much energy, so many resources, so much time on this exact issue, only for them to come out and say, oh, well, there's absolutely nothing here. But I would also caution, Natalie, to not put the onus, because I've been seeing this more and more on the right, to not put all of the responsibility on Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is an appendage of Donald Trump. She is not calling the shots. Nobody in this administration is calling the shots. This entire cabinet, this entire White House exists to serve Donald Trump. They exist to basically be extensions of Trump himself, and no one will ever act independently of him. And so if accountability is really what you're looking for here, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that this is all being done in good faith, then let's not delude ourselves into thinking that Pam Bondi is the final word or that the buck stops with her, when the buck always stops with Donald Trump.
The idea that Pam Bondi is somehow an independent actor is absurd. She is there only to praise Trump and attack his political enemies, which is exactly why Trump loves her so much. Pam Bondi has been loyal since his first impeachment, and that's why Trump keeps her close. Now, the divide between Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi is getting worse. We already knew Dan was threatening to resign, but now reports say Kash Patel might leave with him. They're doing this for money and attention, and the MAGA base is furious. But Trump has clearly chosen a side, which could be a disaster for Dan and Kash inside the administration. This clip is right here.
Bureau as a podcast host before being named Deputy FBI Director. As for Bondi, she's close with President Trump, has been for years. I asked the White House if the president is happy with the Attorney General. I'm told yes, he is. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, says the president is proud of the Attorney General's efforts to execute his Make America Safe Again agenda, restore the integrity of the DOJ, and bring justice to the victims of crime. The continued fixation on sowing division in President Trump's cabinet is baseless and unfounded in reality. That's from Caroline Leavitt. Her deputy, Harrison Fields, says of Bongino and Mr. Patel, the FBI director, the president has assembled a highly qualified and experienced law and order team dedicated to protecting Americans, holding criminals accountable, and delivering justice to victims. This work is being carried out seamlessly with unity. Any attempt to sow division within this team is baseless and a distraction from the progress being made in the public safety and pursuing justice for all. Now, while Mr. Bongino...
That statement makes it very clear that Trump is backing Pam Bondi, which is why Dan Bongino wants to leave, and Kash Patel will follow. They want to keep pushing conspiracy theories, but it becomes impossible when they have to defend Trump's ties to the Epstein files. They plan to leave and blame everything on Pam Bondi, making her the scapegoat for MAGA anger. But Bondi is just a puppet for Trump, so if they attack her, they are really attacking Trump, even if they won't admit it. If Bongino and Kash resign, it could be a huge blow to Trump, showing a big split with his base. Losing loyal supporters would weaken Trump's power even more and hurt him badly in the midterms. Trump should be very worried right now. This clip is right here.
We are not even a week out from the deadly flooding in Texas that killed at least 123 people, 20 people, with 173 still missing. And as first responders shift their efforts from rescue to recovery, which could be months, the country is now dealing with another problem: conspiracy theories. As Wired magazine reports, within hours of the tragedy happening, conspiracy theorists, right-wing influencers, and lawmakers were pushing wild claims on social media that the floods were somehow geoengineered. In Oklahoma, far-right extremists took credit for damaging a local news station's weather radar, falsely claiming that the technology used to track weather events was actually some kind of weather weapon, was their claim. Conspiracy theorists have also pointed the finger at an emerging new technology called cloud seeding, where scientists basically try to draw small amounts of rain out of clouds to help deal with droughts. There is zero evidence that cloud seeding had anything to do with the Texas floods. And scientists emphasize that this relatively young technology simply cannot produce the kind of rainfall that caused Texas flooding. But nevertheless, one cloud seeding company says it has already received more than 100 explicit death threats since the deadly flooding in Texas. And now MAGA politicians are amplifying those conspiracies. Georgia Congresswoman and noted weather conspiracy theorist, you know the one, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has fanned the flames by introducing a bill to ban geoengineering. And Tennessee Republican Congressman Tim Burchett has thrown his support behind the effort. that it's not just far-right members of Congress. Today, Trump's EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, posted this nod to conspiracy theorists online.
Concerned Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering. For years, people who ask questions in good faith were dismissed, even vilified by the media and their own government. Instead of simply dismissing these questions and concerns as baseless conspiracies, we're meeting them head on. Prior to now, EPA has never been this proactive to raise awareness about concerns with geoengineering and to stop this activity from being scaled up.
Now, what EPA Administrator Zeldin was supposed to be announcing in that video was an EPA fact sheet debunking conspiracies about geoengineering. But instead, he spent the entire video legitimizing the concerns of conspiracy theorists who are vandalizing weather towers and sending death threats. In fact, the video was so misleading, he even managed to fool fellow Trump cabinet member and conspiracy theorist RFK Jr., who replied to the video on X saying this: "I'm so proud of my friend Lee Zeldin and President Donald Trump for their commitment to finally shatter the deep state omerta regarding the diabolical mass poisoning of our people." Nothing like a few conspiracy theorists in a presidential cabinet just out there amplifying each other's crazy theories every day. That's where we are. And that kind of deeply irresponsible messaging is just the tip of the iceberg here. Because at almost every level, the Trump administration's response to this tragedy has been its own man-made disaster. I mean, consider Trump's acting FEMA administrator, David Richardson, who hasn't been seen in public since this flooding took place. In fact, he hasn't been seen for months. As E&E News reports today, since his appointment by Trump on May 8th, Richardson has shunned all publicity, making no public appearances or statements. His FEMA biography page has no photograph. Richardson personally backed out of a telephone meeting he was scheduled to attend in late June with leaders of the nation's major emergency management associations. Seems like one he should have attended. "We haven't seen anything out of him," said one leader of Richardson. Then there's the Trump cabinet secretary who oversees FEMA, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. As I mentioned before, CNN reports that Noem significantly delayed FEMA's response. At the same time, Talking Points memo reports that Noem canceled a $3 million grant for improving communications between national and local authorities during natural disasters. And all of this is to say nothing of Trump's plans to get rid of FEMA entirely, leaving the country with no federal response to natural disasters. This is not how a functioning government responds to crises or prepares to respond to crises.
I think it is important we use the right word when describing what MAGA does with conspiracies. They do not just share them for fun, they exploit them, always target real victim. It's one thing to say the earth is flat. That sounds silly but does not really hurt anyone. But it's different when people like Pam Bondi or Alex Jones claim that school shooting victim or paid actor or use Epstein victim to attack political opponent with false stories. These conspiracies are not harmless, they are deeply hurtful and dangerous. MAGA claim they care about law and order, but really they are just using people pain for political gain. This is pure exploitation of real suffering, and that's the only way we should use it. We are going to make sure people on this show. Thanks for watching this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.